Okay, well, I'll just commence. Well, as you can see, Samir Allioui, and I'm a weird guy, and I'm kind of proud of it, and I'm going to break a lot of social conventions here because I think they're detrimental to progress in society and our private lives. I'm supposed to talk about something that happened recently, and a lot of people already heard about the title, but it's not on the screen. And it's actually the largest cyber attack ever. um, you'll probably expect some kind of sensational story. I'm not going to give you a sensational story. I'm going to give you the truth, and I'm going to give you the truth from a very, very personal perspective. It wasn't that much time ago that my political life as a Pirate Party guy kind of collided with my personal life and with my activist life and with my secret activist life because I like anonymous people as well. And it's a very, very sad story. And I'm looking at my talking points right now because I don't want to screw up my chronology. So the thing is, a friend of mine happened to be in media, and I know him for many, many years, and I know that he's kind of crazy. He's even more crazy than I am. It's probably quite hard to imagine, but trust me, he is. But I also know that he has really, really good intentions. And I got to know him when I was basically a child. I met him at LAN parties, and I'm now going to get a beer because that's for show and because I really like it. So, well, I met this Sven Olof guy that a lot of people know as Prince Sven Olof from Cyberbunker at LAN parties as a child. And well, the hacker community is small, so I talked to him a lot. I went to IRC chat rooms, and when I grew up, I well became politically active. By the time I became politically active, he was one of the guys who shifted from the first ISP in the world into his own bunker somewhere in the Netherlands called the Cyber Bunker, which was nothing but a data center. And in this data center, he was still fighting for internet freedom, just like the first internet provider in the world. And he was basically having well, um, a lot of people would not like what I'm going to say, but he basically has a fuck off or go to court policy. He is very simple when it comes to the internet. If it's legal, I will take any client. That's his policy. And if it's not legal, go to court, get a court order, and then I'll do what you say. And in any other case, he will usually write letters that are even worse than the ones you'll find on, for example, the Pirate Bay. In fact, I even wanted to set up a special foundation for trolling the trolls who are trolling ISPs. Think about, for example, copyright claims. Most of them are bullshit. And he was receiving thousands of them every day, every single day. Well, so a couple of months ago, I opened up my web browser and I saw that my friend Sven was being the spokesperson of a company called Spamhaus. Spamhaus is an organization which, oh, I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. He was the spokesperson of an organization called Stophouse. And it's a movement of individuals or the victims of an organization called Spamhaus. And they claim to fight spam. So, what I'm going to tell you right now is rather technical, and I'm not a second-hand car salesman. So please interrupt me, grab a microphone somewhere if you're not going to follow me, so that we can have a dialogue instead of a monologue, and everyone can perhaps understand what I'm going to try to explain, basically. Well, first we'll have to know what Spamhaus is and what spam is. Does everyone know what spam is? Can I see some hands or something like that? Yes. Who hates spam? I hate spam. Well, I know that my friend Sven actually hates spam as well. It wasn't that many months ago, actually, that I ran out of servers for some activist projects, and I knocked on his door and I said, "Hey, there are some people in some weird country who are fighting their government for whatever rights, and well, please help out." And he just provided me some servers, and then there was some weird anonymous people, and then there was a guy from Encyclopedia Dramatica, which is almost worse than 4chan's B. And well, that guy happened to be one of the operators of the servers that I installed, which were being used for activism. really a good thing because they were used for coordinating different operations. The day after, I got a phone call from Sven saying, I don't know what's up, but your machine is sending DDoS attacks. So you're going to fix this in 15 minutes or I'll pull the plug from your server. This is the type of guy that Sven is and how I know him. And he's incredibly, simple, as I told you before. So he almost actually pulled the plug, but I was, basically just in time, and the activists were still able to continue their work. Okay, I've my talking points. Okay, well, what happened, as I mentioned before, is that I saw my friend in news, and for me this was bad news because I didn't know what to do. My friend is more crazy than I am, and he happened to be a member of the Dutch Pirate Party. He happens to be a member of the German Pirate Party and a quite prominent one. And he was supplying me servers for various, um, projects. And I knew that he was going to be in deep shit because he's even more controversial than I am. So at first, I was, in complete stress. I didn't know what to do. And then I decided to simply say, well, screw politics and go for my own principles. And I decided to help him because no one else would. I mean, he says crazy things in media. I mean, after his car was blown up, he expected that the Mossad was behind it because of his business operations and started saying things in media such as the Jews are behind it. Well, if you're going to say stuff like that, no one is going to help you, no matter how right you are on the actual case you're going to talk about. So I jumped in, and well, it didn't take much days to find out that he was finally arrested um, in his apartment in Spain, just the day after media announced that he was, basically doing the largest internet attack in the world, which he did not. And I'm going to explain that he did not commit the largest internet attack in the world. First of all, he's an ISP guy. If you work for an internet provider or you have an internet provider, you're not going to do a DDoS attack because that means you're out of business for life. No one will ever work with you any longer. It's as simple as that. I know that it's even impossible to send spam from his network because that's closed. And he was the spokesperson of a group of activists, and he was, not, he wasn't doing anything but being a spokesperson, basically. I'm sorry for being chaotic. Um, who knows what an IP address is? Okay, who knows what an AS number is? Oh, there's quite a lot of people who know what an AS number is. How many people think it's okay to block an IP address when it's sending spam? That's only a couple. How many people think it's okay to make sure that ISPs all over the world block an entire AS number? Then get me the microphone. Then get the microphone, ask the questions. Okay, I'll explain what an AS number is. It's actually rather simple. We have IP addresses. All devices on the internet have their unique number, or almost all of them. And using these numbers, all the machines on the internet can communicate with each other. However, these IP addresses are shifted all over the internet and connected with each other using so-called AS number. All IP numbers are connected to so-called AS number. And this is usually something you don't have to worry about because internet providers take care of this. My friend Sven and a lot of people of the Stop House movement know that when you have an AS number and Spam House says you have to do something, you don't listen to them, they don't only block one IP address. If you perpetually don't listen to them, they take down the AS number. What this implies is that there is a company which only has a PO box in Switzerland, does their finances in a tax paradise on a Caribbean island, is able to kick 1/3 of the people, well, kick people off the internet for at least 30%. And in the case of, for example, Sven, it means that he can go bankrupt because the clients of his clients are not listening to Spamhaus and a suspect of spam. This is highly political as well because of the fact that the definition of spam is not the same all over the world, and all the other internet regulation is dubious in various countries. So it was just incredibly insane, basically. They were just kicking entire ISPs off the internet. No one ever heard about it, and because of the weird remarks of my friend, what happened next was even worse. The actual attack was done by a guy. I actually found out who did the real attack with some level of technical skill. However, the actual largest cyber attack in the world wasn't a large attack at all. It was a so-called DNS amplification attack. It doesn't mean much to non-technical persons, but what it means is that it's a type of attack that will only work if people who work for ISPs are not doing a good job. And just a month before the actual attack, there was a conference where all big players from big ISPs were present, and there was a presentation on how to avoid these types of attack. So, some weird angry guy who probably went bankrupt because of Spamhaus launched one of those attacks, and it wasn't really a strong one. And then a company called Cloudflare jumped in, said, "I'm a hero, I'm going to mitigate this DDoS attack," and they screwed up. This is very interesting to know, because this actually amplified the original attack. And this Cloudflare is a competitor for Sven. Cloudflare is a company which is not only mitigating DDoS attacks, but they're also doing hosting for a lot of dissidents and activists all over the world, which means that they're the #1 gold mine for the American intelligence, which is not a good thing. But that's not where it ends. This Cloudflare has been fucking up a lot lately, and well, they simply called some guys in Washington, or to be precise, the CEO of Cloudflare did. They managed to get a guy on a phone line with the New York Times, and the guy who, well, they talked to happened to be the same guy who, for some weird way managed to convince the American general public of Kevin Mitnick being able to launch nuclear bombs by whistling through a phone line. So that could be his name. Well, this guy, who is a complete idiot, started to write a story about Sven and the biggest cyber attack ever. And it was full of crap. It was completely full of crap. People didn't know that Sven was protecting the internet. He was portrayed as a Hollywood villain. And from there, a media shitstorm just started rolling and rolling and rolling. And we simply didn't know what to do. We simply didn't know what to do. We had no friends who were able to just say, well, here you have, I don't know how many €1,000, and go fix this. A lot of people who did understand Sven's case said, yeah, he's right, but he's so controversial, he says so many mad things. I'm not going to, risk my career and help him. Do you think I'm mad? These are issues that are going on online right now and nobody knows about. And it was even so insane that after the media report by the New York Times, media started copying the story. And the stories became more and more and more insane. Eventually, we found an article stating that Sven is a weird homophobe and that he insults gay people and whatever not. When that happened, his friends and I, we all had to laugh and cry at the same time, because Sven is one of the most gay guys you can imagine. In fact, on internet IRC channels, he's notorious for perpetually repeating that he would like to have a cute boy with curly hair under his desk for, well, obvious reasons. And from there on, the story actually started to become worse in media, and media was just copying and copying and copying and copying. No one was doing research, and this eventually led to lobby organizations for ISPs, such as ISPA, nominating the organization that was supposedly to be the victim of the attack for a prize, because they fenced off the largest cyber attack ever. Well, this largest cyber attack ever wasn't even supposed to happen in the first place because ISPs screwed up. So as you can see, there's a lot of incentives here going on here. This largest attack ever wasn't supposed to happen. ISPs screwed up. ISPs nominates Spamhaus. Spamhaus gets attacked because they do bad stuff and they're a threat to the internet. They're arbitrarily kicking large groups of people offline. And well, there are so many stories about it. There was even one case where one guy was basically declared persona non grata on the internet. When he wants to start an internet business, he immediately gets on all the blacklists of Stophouse and he's kicked offline. Does everyone get this so far? Seriously? You're all so silent? Grab a microphone.
So, where is your friend now? Is he arrested?
Well, I'll tell you right now. He was eventually arrested in Spain, and because of the weird media buzz, they dropped into his apartment. They claimed that his apartment was the cyber bunker, while my friend is the owner of the actual data center. The actual hosting company Cyberbunker. But the actual bunker itself is sold off years ago. So that's the funny thing. So they claimed that his apartment in Spain was a bunker. That's where it started. And then they made a sensational video showing NATO stamps in order to show off how weird he is. And perhaps he's even doing illegal things, because that's what you're insinuating when you show those stamps.
Is he in custody?
Well, he was extradited to the Netherlands. And
is he in jail?
he's recently released. He was released.
Are there any outstanding charges against him? Has he been charged with a crime?
They tried to charge him, yes, but he's free, which already implies enough, I think.
Does he have a court date?
No, there is none. I'm not kidding. He's just released.
What's the problem then?
Well, he's recently released, but the research isn't done yet. He was extradited, arrested, slandered in media, and this organization Spamhaus is still coercing people into doing whatever the hell they want, and no one is stopping this. And how can we stop this? We've been doing research on this. There's even been people going to people went to Switzerland in order to find out more information about this company. They find a PO box.
So basically you're claiming that your friend was more or less lynched or harassed by Stophouse.
Yes, because
so he was arrested and he was extradited, but he was not tried, and he's not.
It can still
in prison.
happen. They're still doing research.
I mean, obviously the lesson here is that Stophouse are like tough bastards, but they didn't actually get your friend put in prison. All they did was leak a bunch of stuff to the media that ended up making him look kind of bad.
And all media did not do research. None of them.
Is that supposed to be surprising?
No, it's not surprising at all, and that's a problem these days.
Well, okay. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen worse computer crime stories than that one. If he's in Holland and he's walking around loose, does he still own his business?
Well, his business went bankrupt, obviously.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So is he in the business? I mean, is he like trying to start another IP? Does he have a way to earn a living?
He's trying to continue his business, yes. But all his clients already fled to another location, of course.
So basically what you're saying is the guy's been sort of extra legally harassed off the internet by an anti-spam group.
Yes, an anti-spam group who owns a PO box in Switzerland,
Yeah.
does their finances on a Caribbean island,
Okay.
and whenever people tell them, well, let's resolve this by going to court, there's not really much happening. And there's already loads of documentation on Spamhaus and weird lawsuits. In fact, in the US, they once lost a very, very big case.
Right.
They were untouchable, and this is a serious problem.
You
If
ever,
they don't like you, they can declare you persona non grata on the internet.
have you ever heard of an outfit called Strat4 in the United States?
Yes, I
Yeah.
actually yes.
Okay.
What's with that? Because I mean, I know that Sven has been hosting websites where people were playing around with Strat4 files. I do know that he was also working for China Telecom at the very moment that he was arrested. I also do know, and this is all dirty details, that people claim that he's having nasty Russian clients. I know all this. Yes, and this is true.
Yeah.
It's a huge geopolitical game, but he himself is rather simple. He states that he wants a free internet for everyone. If something's not against the law, then it's fine. And if it's not, and you insist, you go to court. It's as simple as that. That's how a society is supposed to work.
Samir.
Why would an organization such as Spamhaus have the ability to kick anyone on this world offline? It's ridiculous. I mean, we heard stories about the ITU and about internet governance this very same evening, and at the same time, people are just governing the internet because they can. That's reality. That's a really big problem.
Yeah, Samir, I'm not going to ask the question. I just trying to grasp the story and what is really the strongest message there. And as I understand it, the people are never so simple on the internet, and the stuff that we don't like, spam, the organization that fights spam, they
Well,
can easily
they claim
abuse
to
their
fight spam,
yeah, and
but there is
but they-
analysis on this.
Yes, and if we are not careful, then they can get too much power and start bullying everybody on the internet. Am I correct?
There you are totally right. In fact, we were about to set up a campaign website for Sven. We never launched it because it was released. And we wanted to basically create a website with a comic team. And we wanted to present Spider Sven and present all the Spamhaus people as villains and him as the internet hero who wants to save the interwebs and things like that. Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry, I'm fuzzy.
It was not the question. It was just the trying to do some kind of summary that things on the internet are never simple.
Yes,
That
Yes,
things are
yes,
not
I-
always what they seem. If somebody is
exactly,
fighting
that's
spam, which
true.
is a good thing, it
Yes,
doesn't
when
necessarily
someone-
mean that
yes.
they are good guys.
exactly. When someone does something right, it doesn't mean they're good guys. They are indeed fighting spam. In fact, I used their lists in the past, but they're also doing nasty things. For example, the Stop House movement was very suspicious about them ruling over certain complaints, and eventually they were like, "Oh, how are we going to find out whether or not Spamhaus is executing American trade policy or not?" Well, eventually they managed to talk to someone from the Russian intelligence agency who confirmed that they were. The internet is being governed here, but no one knows about it. That's a problem.
Um, I want to add something on Spamhaus. So I absolutely agree with you that a single company should never be able to execute any governance by its own will. But actually what Spamhaus is doing, it's maintain a list of presumably known spam servers that's sending spam, and you can rent them as a service, or they also have a free service. Then you can ask, and they will return you every time you get an email. your server will ask the spam house, is this server that I'm getting mail from, is it known for sending spam? And they could send you a tag. Yes, we know they have been spam from that server. And then it's for you to decide as a mail server administrator what to do with that. And actually, the policy of Spam House and also similar services says, don't trust us. Don't trust us alone. So ask other guys and also make your own judgments of what to do. So, but in reality, a lot of mail server administrators just rely on a Spam House tag. And if a Spam House return a tag that I know the server, they will block the mail delivery and your mail will never get to the intended recipient. And I know that Spam House have, I can confirm that Spam House have been also treated not only the known sources of spam, but also known providers of so-called bulletproof hosting. So hosting that was hosted without that you have the ability to get known who owns the server, who owns the domain. And in fact, the Pirate Party of Russia, for example, provided some kind of a bulletproof hosting using some German ISP, a big one. And the German ISP
You're going too fast here, because
Sorry.
they're not just blocking servers who send spam, they're blocking AS numbers.
Yes.
This means that suddenly one spammer is offline, but a couple of thousand innocent people as well, or businesses.
Yes, that they do if they not comply, yes.
Okay, well, I mean, don't think that anyone has a problem with people voluntarily blocking servers who send spam. I don't have a problem with that either. But when one company with political motives starts disconnecting people from the internet, which is different from just blocking spam, that's a big issue. That shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, but do we have any kind of vision of a solution for that?
Yes, we are the solution. We should fight back. It's as simple as that. And we should be aware of this. And we should tell other people that this is happening.
Okay, awareness is certainly necessary.
That's why people are here, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I'll just see if I left out some gory details.
Hey.
Sorry?
Here the hello.
Hi there.
Here the point is mostly focusing on the spam house. That I mean, abuse service can be useful or not, can be abused or not. But the big shit happened because of major media stupidity in not being able to understand
It's
what's
not
happening.
stupidity. It's a played game.
Yeah, but the fact is that with this attack, a lot of stuffs that are not immediately understandable by the, I mean, internet journalists, like autonomous system, BGP, DNS amplification, all that kind of complexity was absolutely not understood, and the information became a big
Even
rolling,
that argument
you know.
is a fallacy. I mean, during the entire process, I talked with people from Associated Press, Reuters, etc. So I got to see what they did understand and didn't understand, and try to explain certain things to them. They're doing this on purpose. They want to sell newspaper. News is no longer the force in democracy who's, well, basically protecting democracy. That's all archaic bullshit. Press is not a force that defends democracy any longer. That time is long past. I mean, we're way beyond that.
I have a technical question. How we as users can check our ES numbers are blacklisted or something? How can I be sure that I cannot be blocked in any point of time? It would be maybe useful.
Your AS
if
number or your IP number?
AS, that magical number.
Well, you can't. You can't. And
Okay,
in
but
fact,
I am, we are like in hierarchy below that big number in chunks.
yes, and these so-called AS numbers, that's the highest level of the internet. So if you start messing around with those AS numbers for whatever reason, you're also undermining the basic functionality of the internet at large.
Great. So we as a people can monitor that number, that service.
There is online tools such as Looking
yeah.
Glass that you can use, but BGP is way too complex for normal people to understand.
Okay, but we can make a bridge in order to.
Yes, all those lists are public, and
Okay.
all the.
So it's not locked away from us. We can actually do it.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You
that's
just
important.
can't buy an AS number because that's probably way too expensive.
But okay, but I can monitor alarm about it and stuff like that.
It's
Is
probably
that
too
is-
much information for you to process, but you can try. Yes.
Okay, I feel that it's important that that number and that technology is not locked away from us completely. I would feel more comfortable and free if I can technically access and monitor and alarm about it. If it's locked away from us, that is a problem.
It's not entirely locked, but it would be nice if everyone could have his or her own AS number, but it's not possible. There's not enough of them, and there would be a tremendous amount of technological implications. But such technological solutions could be researched in order to, prevent these weaknesses from being exploited. Those AS numbers, all internet providers have them. They communicate with each other, and that's all trust-based. And most of it isn't properly protected, and people can even hijack IP numbers from other people. For example, what spammers do is look for blocks of IP addresses that are no longer being used since forever. For example, company goes bankrupt, they own a lot of IP addresses, it's not being used for 10 years because the notary doesn't know it's worth money, or it's forgotten, or whatsoever. Then the spammer starts announcing those IP addresses, and suddenly, you have some really nice resources for sending spam, for example. I mean, that type of stuff is also possible. So there is many different reasons for taking a deeper look at these situations.
Thanks.
What was the biggest attack that he was accused of, but is not guilty of?
Well, yet again, this so-called biggest attack wasn't the biggest attack at all. I found out who did it, by the way, but I'm not going to mention that guy's name. He did an attack that shouldn't have been possible in the first place because internet providers screwed up. What happened next is that the attack was amplified by Cloudflare, which is a competitor of people like Sven. And that caused a spike at the London Internet Exchange and caused the media attention. So there really wasn't the largest internet attack ever. It was all political, and it was all about the internet. Control, power, influence, that's it. Didn't have anything to do with an attack. It's all bullshit. And lonely people with principles are suffering. It's as simple as that. And media is helping on this. Okay, that is it. No more times? No more questions, really? Okay.